Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking all about pores. I'm going to tell you everything I know just from experience on how to keep them as least visible as possible, how to keep them in control throughout the day, things to avoid, things that have worked for me, have not worked for me, and this is just a personal preference type of video. I'm just going to be telling you guys from my perspective and my experiences. If you are wondering about this makeup look, I have already uploaded it. It was up yesterday, so go ahead and check that out if you are wondering. Now let's go ahead and get into pores. The first thing I want to talk about is definitely skincare. The things you need to be making sure you're doing to make sure that your pores are just as small as they can possibly appear. There is nothing that actually will make your pores smaller. There's things that will say, oh, it shrinks the pores or it will, but no. It can make the appearance of your pores smaller, but it doesn't actually change the size. So I want to make sure you guys understand that. There's different products that will exaggerate your pores, make your pores mad at you, and they become large and in charge, and we just don't want that. So one thing I want to tell you is do not over dry your skin. I am combo. I am oily in the T-zone, dry, normal, other places. Some people are oily all over. Generally speaking, if you have enlarged pores, you probably are oily at least on that area. So the thing is, you don't want to over dry your skin, so don't use an exfoliator every single day, especially those harsh ones. I definitely like chemical exfoliators better. Something like the HONEYMOON Glow from the FARMACY, amazing. I use Retin-A, that definitely helps. You don't want to use anything when you're washing your face that is going to overly strip your skin. I prefer to use something first to go ahead and go in and just take off all my makeup, break it down. So I'll use an oil, and I like the TATCHA CAMELLIA cleansing oil to take everything off. And then I like to use something that's not too harsh on my skin afterwards. I love the TATCHA Deep Cleanse, and I also really recommend the Youth to the People, what is it called? It's green. I will insert it right here so you guys can see. But neither of these products are going to really strip my skin. They're going to clean it. They're going to make sure everything is nice and cleaned out, but it's not going to strip your skin. Once you strip your skin's going to start producing more oils and your pores are going to become enlarged. Another thing are masks. So don't use too many clay masks throughout the week. You want to make sure you're doing that once, maybe twice, just depending on your skin type. I do it once, usually just once, unless something is just going awry. I will use it once, and I've really liked the Sand and Sky, I think. I tried to pull out as many products as I could, but then I realized I was running, like the daylight was going to be coming through and hitting my back, so I'm going to be inserting pictures and holding up products. But that one I really like. The Clear Improvements from Origins is really nice, and I do not put this all over my face because, again, I am combo, so I want to concentrate on the areas that actually need it. So I will put it only through here, sometimes on my forehead, and definitely on my chin, but I will keep everything else just clear. I don't want to put anything else on there. So that is the first thing. And then, one product that is just a godsend, I swear I love this stuff, is the GLAMGLOW 60-second treatment. If you're having a day where I just need my pores to shrinken up and just look like they're nice and tight, this product does wonders. I have continuously repurchased this, and again, I don't put it all over my face. You can, and it does a really nice effect on the skin, but I like to not go through the bottle too quickly. So this on the pores, it does this bubbling thing, and personally, it freaks me out because I don't like my face touch. So it does this bubbling thing for 60 seconds, and then you wash it off, and you have like this cooling sensation. It's amazing. So prep is definitely key. Now when you're going in with your skincare, you want to use something that's more on the hydrating side versus like the really moisturizing side. You can do those things at night if you want to. If you're really oily, you might just want to stick with hydration. But I'm going to tell you some of the things that I really like to use. I always tone or use an essence. My two favorite have been this one right here from this, I talked about this in my favorites. This is the Fresh Rose Deep Hydration Facial Toner. I love this toner. It gives me hydration, but it also, I feel like it really cleans out my pores. Same with this one right here, TATCHA the Essence. This one is a concentration of pure micronutrients, softens and plumps the skin, deep hydration, and maximizing the performance of TATCHA skincare and all that. Both of those products are great to start off with. And then I definitely recommend either a mist or a serum of some type that is also hydrating to go in right after your essence or your toner. You don't need to use both. I never use those at the same time, just FYI. I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. I'm sorry. This is from BELIF. This is the Hungarian Water Essence. It's a lightweight hydrating serum. This is so amazing for people with pores or just oily skin in general because you have to add in that hydration or again, your skin is just going to freak out and start producing more oil. This is great. I love my La Mer one. I really like the La Mer is the revitalizing hydrating serum. Then the Clinique Moisture Surge line is really nice. I love this. This is one I'm using right now. I'm trying to think of another one. I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but those are really great. I'm using a Youth to the People spray. So I've been using this one at night and then the spray, the Aptogen spray during the day, and I've been loving those, and they aren't clogging my pores or doing anything like that. They're just making sure that I have hydration. And then you want to go in with whatever cream you want to use. I highly suggest a gel. If you have enlarged pores, if you have pore issues, if you have oily issues, something that is a gel formula instead of that really creamy moisturizing formula is going to be so much better. The water cream from TATCHA is amazing. And then another one that I really, really like is from ELEMIS. And this is the Pro Collagen Marine Cream. So this is just a little bit creamier than this one. This is definitely more lightweight. So if you're super oily, go with this. But these just don't leave a residue on the skin and it just gives you the hydration and you're prepped. Another thing I want to talk about that a lot of people don't think about is your eye cream, because your eye cream, when you're putting it on, it's also coming down. It moves a little bit. It's going to hit your pores. So if it's a really, really creamy type of texture, it has ingredients in there that you love for your eyes, but your pores don't like, gonna be, do you want large pores or no? I really highly suggest this one right here. This is again from BELIF. This is more along the lines of something that's going to be hydrating. I love this so much. It doesn't do anything to mess with my pores, but it gives me so much hydration and my eyes love this. It's so great underneath makeup as well. Now let's move on to the makeup part of it. I think this is very just specific to everybody and their skin type and what they like. I personally don't like something that is too matte. Again, combo, so I have to have something that works for everywhere. And I also notice that if it's too heavy on my pore area, it can look nice initially, but then it's not going to look nice later. So my method, this is one of my favorite more matte foundations. This one, the Estee Lauder Double Wear, the Dior Forever Undercover, and the Forever Face and Body. That one's thinner, so that's really great. But there's something else I want to talk about, alcohol. We'll get into that. I don't like to get too much product on my pores. So if you ever watch my tutorials, I start off on the lower part of my face, and this is where I have a little bit more of my acne scarring and stuff. So I start off here, and then my excess will go underneath my eyes right here, just right there. I never put direct makeup right there. I do not want to have too much, because usually you're going to put makeup on and then you're going to put on your concealer. You can, if you don't need the coverage, go as far as to not put your makeup as far up as what your concealer is going to be, and that helps too. Less layers, less cakiness, less pore visibility. So definitely make sure that you're doing that. You just don't want to add too much. And that leads me into the powders. I have noticed that a lot of powders that claim to be pore filling or pore smoothing, anything like that, they also can be kind of cakey. My favorite thing personally to do is to use, oh, I forgot a step. Let me get back. Okay, so before the foundation, we have to talk about primers. Primers is everything. For me, if I use anything that has too many silicones, or if it has that real silicone type of texture, it's not going to work for me. I want to show you this one right here. This is the Catrice Prime and Fine Smoothing Primer. You can see I have dipped in here once. That is because I tried this and it almost feels oily, like greasy. And you will see like, oh yeah, it smooths out your pores, but this, especially after constant use, will end up enlarging my pores. It doesn't last throughout the day, and I have a huge issue with it. My favorites have definitely been the Tarte, let me see, I've got stuff all in front of everything. The Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer, I love this. However, it has been changed. The formula has changed. I have not tried out the new one. I will do that when I run out of this one, but I can't tell you if the new one is as good as this one or not, because I've heard back and forth. I've heard some people say, oh, I didn't notice a difference at all. And then I've heard some people say, I hate this primer now. So I just want to throw that out there that I love this, but I love the old version. So I don't know about the new one. Currently, I am loving this. This is the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. And I like this because it's thinner. So if you're somebody who just the thickness of that is too much, or I love the Makeup Forever Skin Smoothing Primer. The only issue I have with that is you have to keep it upside down, or else you're going to end up with these little oil comes through. It's so gross. But if you store it upside down, then it will actually, the oil stay at the bottom. You can squeeze it and it works out just fine. I love that one, but I have decided not to deal with the oils with that one anymore, and I stick with this one. I remember liking the Smashbox one for a little while, not the Photo Finish. This was a smoothing primer. I'll insert a picture again. But this one right here is one that I would highly suggest because it's so thin. I don't take this directly onto my skin. I take it on my finger and you can't even see it. And it just, I put it right over top of my MAC Skin Refine Zone. That is the biggest trick. It claims, where is it at? I'm looking for it. It's in my lap. It claims to have exfoliating properties, like to keep your pores exfoliated, whatever, but I've heard people tell me, you know, it doesn't have enough of whatever to actually do anything. So I'm telling you that's a claim, but I'm telling you also that it's not one that's backed up. This will keep your oils at bay though, and it really grips on to whatever primer you put on top. So this, a dot, and I don't put it on my nose because my nose can be a little bit dry sometimes. It's like dry, like textured, and then oily at the same time. We all know the nose issue. But MAC Skin Refine Zone is something that I have used ever since I started doing my makeup. This has been in my collection. This is my ride or die. If they all of a sudden said they were going to discontinue this, I would probably buy every last one because I love that stuff. But just a dot of it. You don't want to put this all over your face. A dot, and then sometimes I'll put it on my chin, and it kind of dries and you feel your pores just like shrinking up, and it's amazing. And then I go in with my primer right on top after it is dried, and it's so smooth. Another trick before you go in with any of your primers is to get your excess skincare off of your pores. You can take a tissue, you can take a little makeup sponge or anything just to get the little excess amount of product off of your pores. I do that every single day just because I feel like all the skincare has sunken in. I just need to get off whatever is laying on top and then go in with my primer. So that is something I definitely suggest. Drugstore option that I did like. I don't like it as much as my other ones, but this did work pretty well. Definitely better than this one is the L'Oreal Perfecting Base, the Magic Perfecting Base. This is my favorite drugstore option I've ever used. This is the only one I would suggest personally. I've tried several, but this is the only one that I would say, yeah, give that one a go, especially if you're going to use it over top of the Prep and Prime Skin Refine Zone from MAC. It just makes a world of difference. Now talking about setting. I personally love this stuff. This is the Huda Beauty Baking Powder. I like to bake my nose, my chin, in this section. You'll see sometimes when I'm doing eye tutorials, I have it brought up just because I want to catch, you know, the makeup. But on a typical day, like if I'm not filming, I am not going to put the powder up that high. I like to keep the most powder right here, and I don't let it bake for too long. I do my powder on the rest of my face, and I use a different type of powder, and then I dust it off. That is going to keep everything just sealed in, and it helps to really just pull out any moisture that's going to be on the pore area. I highly suggest this one. If you are acnegenic, I know a lot of people love the La Mercier translucent setting powder. I was one of those people. I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I used to do like the little baking right here. I would put it right here. And then I started to notice, I was breaking out and my pores were getting so large. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I kept using that powder and I stopped. When I stopped using that powder, slowly my pores went back to normal size and my acne went away. I figured out it's cornstarch. Cornstarch for me, and yes, I know, I get comments sometimes, it's not the same as like what you're baking with. I know it's not. But cornstarch Z-Maze is an ingredient that if you're acnegenic or have problems with your pores can be an issue. I don't always have an issue with a blush or a bronzer. I don't like to use them back to back like over and over again on my face because I will break out if it's continued use, but it's mainly with foundations and powders. You find it more often in powders. I don't particularly like that powder, and there's other powders that have it in there as well that I just can't use. I think the Milk one has it in here. I don't remember, but this was a really great powder. The Fit Me powder is really nice, and then the Cover FX powder is really nice. This is the Perfect Setting powder. I love those. So I only use that on the pore area, and I don't do anything else to the rest of my face. I like to keep the least amount of product as I possibly can. Now, after I've gotten my entire face done, if you're using a setting spray every single day, it's likely to contain alcohol. Alcohol and pores and skin in general, it's going to agitate the skin. This was something that I didn't really think happened before, but I realize it now. If I use something that has alcohol in it back to back to back to back to back to back to back, I start to have issues. If I use it 1 or 2 days in a row, I'm fine, but it's back to back to back. My favorites, the Armani Prima Refreshing Makeup Fix. I love this for setting my skin. I love the GLAMGLOW Glow Setter. If you're using the Urban Decay All-Nighter that has alcohol in it, I would suggest only using those type of products when you need to, just because constant use, you're going to have issues with your pores just getting enlarged and skin aggravation in general. And that goes for foundations as well. There's several foundations that I absolutely love, and I'm still going to use them. The YSL All Hours, the Backstage Face and Body from Dior, they have alcohol in them. I just don't use them back to back to back to back. So be careful of that ingredient for sure. I feel like, let me look at my phone. I feel like there's something else. I have to take notes or else I will lose my concentration. Going back to primers, some primers that just absolutely have not worked for me. Porefessional, I talked about this before. This product does nothing for my pores, absolutely nothing. I feel like it's one of those things that's great for smoothing the outskirts of your face. Kind of like the TATCHA Silk Canvas. I'm not even putting these in the same category because this is amazing. I love this so much, but I get a lot of questions like, why don't you use this on your pores? Is it good for your pores? Blah, blah, blah. To me, this does not work for my pore area. It works amazing for the outskirts of my face. It doesn't dry out my skin. It doesn't make me oily. It is just perfect for smoothing out the outskirts of my skin, but this is not good enough for my pores, and that I do have enlarged pores. I really do. If you ask anybody who truly knows me and sees my makeup, at the end of the day, I will have huge pores sometimes. So this is an amazing product. I love it. Stand behind it 100%, but it's just not for the pores. Another one, unless you have just small, if you have just barely any kind of like Kelsey over here that's saying she's got pores and she doesn't, then it would be fine for you. Another one that really didn't work for me was the Dr. Brandt Pores No More. That product was just, no offense, is just, I'm just not going to say I don't like it. The YSL Blur Primer, that, well, it just slid. All my makeup just slides off my face with that. Also, when we're talking about powders, you have to be careful with the name, like the Becca Soft Light Blurring Powder. That powder is beautiful. But blurring powder makes you think that your pores are going to be blurred, that you're going to look, whatever. That is a brightening, highlighting, radiant powder. It's a great buffing powder, but it is not something I would suggest you go in and set your pores with, because you're basically going to highlight them. You want to use something matte, but not something too thick. And this one for me works perfectly. I think everyone's going to have something different. Another really nice one is from Fenty. And here comes one of my tricks for touching up. I like to use a powder, like an actual powder for my smile lines. I like the Accomplice powder from Marc Jacobs to touch up smile lines. I like my MAC Fix Plus. I like several different like foundation powders. I actually really like the Sicily powder to touch up as well. But when we're talking about pores, if you have done your makeup and you're like, you know what, I still feel like I can see my pores, or I want to blur them out even more, there's two powders that I want to suggest. This is the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydra Powder. You're going to think that is going to make my pores worse. No. This is amazing. So I'm going to take a little bit of this and my Stilazzi L224 Large Fluff. I love this brush. So this is what I do. I take a tiny little bit, knock off the excess, and then right here. And if it's throughout the day, so right now my makeup is fresh, this is going to really smoothen out this area even more. Like after you've set everything, done everything, this is just like the added little touch. I don't know if you can tell a difference in the smoothness. It's beautiful. It doesn't add texture. It's not thick. It's very airy, and it's not going to be so dry that it makes you look cakey. If you're doing this throughout the day and it's like 8 hours in, make sure you tap off the excess with a blotting sheet or a piece of tissue, something first. Otherwise, you're just putting powder on top of oil, and that's going to create a cakey, disgusting mess. Another one that I really like is from Fenty. This is the lavender one, the Pro Filter. I used to use this all the time, and I still do, like on the DL, because I don't think this is available anymore. This is the CC powder from MAC. That's why I was so happy when they came out with this one from Fenty. This, again, I'm going to show you on the opposite side. It's very finely milled, and there's different shades that you can use for different complexions, and there's just a little bit in the cap. So I'm going to pick that up. You can see, knock off the excess, and then this one is a bit more brightening. But it also just helps to blur out the area without adding texture, without making anything look cakey. But you don't want to sit here and take, a big old dab of that powder and go in. You just want to use a light. And you see how much brighter that one is with the purple? Oh, so pretty. I definitely suggest doing something like that versus going in with a thick powder or like a foundation powder or anything like that. It's just going to be too much. And when you start piling on products to your pores, it just looks worse. In all honesty, it just starts to look worse. Okay, going back to my notes. Coconut oil. This is another thing that you want to be really careful of. Again, some products with a small amount of coconut oil in it is fine for me, but most products with coconut oil in it will start to enlarge my pores. And again, sometimes it's right away if it has a large amount, or it can be just consistent use of something with coconut oil in it is going to mess with my pores and mess with my skin. So that's another ingredient that you might want to avoid. So alcohol, coconut oil, shea butter can be an issue sometimes, and there's several different other ones. You just kind of have to figure out and look at the ingredients. I mean, that's how I found out that cornstarch didn't work with me, is that I started to realize, oh, every product that has broken me out has had this in it. So make sure you're looking at the labels. I am so bad about that. I will order a product and then be like, really, Mel? I forget. I get excited about something and then I immediately want to get it, and then I realize this isn't going to work for me because it has this product, this ingredient. I keep saying product. But anywho, I think that is it. Make sure you look out for your ingredients. Make sure you're not putting too much product on your skin. Don't use your setting sprays every single day. Definitely go for this guy right here, the Watermelon Glow Mist. Amazing. Then just take a little powder afterwards. You'll be fine. But that's it. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I hope this was helpful. Sometimes I can get a little like everywhere with this type of thing, but if you have a question, just ask me down below and I'll try to make sure I get to all of you guys. I love you, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.